Hello, my name is Monique Leverington, and you've joined me today for the 30-minute mindful movement series. We'll be practicing together a standing sequence today. So the invitation is to find a space somewhere within your workspace or home space, or perhaps even outdoors today, from wherever you are. And just sort of finding enough space, you don't need a lot, just enough space for you to be able to move freely with the arms, and enough space for you to just move forward and back in through the lower half of the body. So as we come into a standing position, just perhaps lifting the feet gently and finding a comfortable stance in your body, one that allows you to sort of recognize the aliveness and the alertness of the spine. So if you notice that you're moving and shifting into that stance, just seeing if we can also get a sense of feeling from the ground up towards the crown of the head. So we notice this sense of standing erect. And the intention of this practice today is to move in a way that allows us to become aware and awake to the various sensations as we shift through the body. And these sensations may be easeful, they may be more challenging, pleasant or unpleasant, no matter, with an non-judging and non-striving attitude, just allowing ourselves to drop in to the present moment as best as we can. And there's no right or wrong. There's nowhere really to get to in these poses. We're just sort of seeing how we feel as we move, this sort of meditative movement whilst we're standing. We'll be placing our attention onto the body, perhaps onto the breath, and whatever else might be arising as we move and shift. So now taking a moment to prepare for this particular movement, and we're just going to shuffle through the feet very gently and see if we can sort of firmly sort of sag down into the soles of the feet. And perhaps just recognizing what's already here for us now in this moment. You might notice the sensation of the solid earth beneath the soles of the feet, perhaps. So pausing here for a moment to sort of tune in and touch down, earthing into the ground. During this practice, you might choose to keep your eyes open, or at times you might choose to close down your eyes, just to note whatever is feeling right for you in that particular moment. So not needing to have to be a certain way, just choosing in this practice, your practice, to be how you should be, moment by moment, whatever feels right. And now let's bring our awareness to the whole body and the posture that you've chosen in this moment. So if possible, just starting to lean in towards any sensations that might be here for you in your body. Perhaps we might recognize some tingling or sensations in the fingertips. Or maybe we might notice there's a bit of tension or tightness somewhere in the body today. We also might note that the body is moving with the gentle inhale and exhale of our breath. So becoming aware and awake to these anchors, as we call them in mindfulness, of where your attention flows and noticing what's here for you right now in this moment. Maybe sounds, smells, It might be noticing your surroundings. And know that these anchors are a place to come back to if at any time there is any difficulty during this particular mindful movement session. That we can come back to these anchors and just be present with those. So now starting to invite in a sense of movement. So starting to move the body and remembering that moving in a way that feels safe and supportive for you. And if anything doesn't feel right for you during the movement, then always feeling free to sort of move out of that shape and shift into another shape that feels more supportive for you. I'm going to take our hands behind our head and just wiggle ourselves into a little bit more of an alive, alert stance. So perhaps noticing here the belly and maybe even tucking the tailbone slightly so we feel like there's a shift in the lower part of the body. So tucking the tailbone if that feels right for you, and maybe even feeling a slight tuck here and maybe feeling a slight change, a shift through the torso as we lift up into the upper body. And then slowly starting to shift and move into our rotation. So moving over towards the right side. And if you've moved towards the left, that's fine. And then slowly moving and shifting over towards the opposite side. Noticing how that feels in your body as you shift and move from left to right. Feeling maybe some sensations through the torso. Or maybe you feel the connection to the earth more fully as you stand firmly into earth. Or we might notice here some tension or tightness in the upper shoulder region as we reach for the back of the head. And then slowly coming back to your center and letting the arms move forward and seeing if we can crisscross the arms into a bind. But it could be one bind depending on your body, or perhaps your arms will crisscross twice. There's no right or wrong here. Just acknowledging your unique shape and whatever works for you. And taking some time here to explore any sensations that might be here for you now in the upper region of the body. Perhaps there are some sensations that we notice that are familiar. Maybe there's no particular sensation here for you, and that's completely fine as well. So noting that. Perhaps there's lots of sensation here, and you can really notice what's arising. Just honoring what's showing up in this particular moment, in the present, with your mindful movement. And if it's right for you, perhaps even letting your chin soften towards your throat and allowing your head to bow forward slightly. Noticing what it feels like to move into this bind. If that's not available, then just staying as you are, in whatever way feels right for you. Showing up here again in the present moment. Moving with that attitude of patience and kindness. Just trusting that you are where you need to be right now. And then our next inhale, we'll slowly invite an alive and alert spine. So standing again, lifting the head back in line with the shoulders and the spine, and unraveling the arms. And slowly letting the hands come back down by your side. And maybe even giving it a little shake about to just release and let everything come back to where it began. And then perhaps pausing to sort of inquire as to what sensations or feelings or tingling might be here now. Maybe there's some warmth in the fingers, or maybe some warmth in the upper shoulders. Maybe there's a shift or change. And then coming into the opposite crisscross. So we're moving the opposite arm and binding that now in the opposite way. And remembering just moving into a position that is accessible for you, safe for you. And if there are any shoulder injuries, today we might just crisscross the arms, or we might even just take the palms together. So making this accessible for you and your body shape. And then pausing with this sensation again and noticing if there's anything different on this side as you bind. Whether or not there's a similar sensations or similar feelings or similar tones. Or perhaps it's completely different on this side. Again, with that sense of curiosity and non-striving, not needing to fix or change anything here to make it be so as it was on the other side. This side is unique and different. So allowing whatever is here to arise just to flow into your awareness as best as you can. And then if it does feel okay for you, again, making that decision as you move and shift forward, just exploring here as you bow the head towards the bind, recognizing what's here for you now. And perhaps there are sensations of unpleasantness where we can start to notice that there is tightness or tension, or perhaps the opposite, where it actually feels as if the body is letting go. And just noticing as you observe here with this movement, what's arising now, this moment and the next. Remembering if any time any of these sensations or the shape feels uncomfortable or difficult, always have a choice to let go of the practice and come back to your anchor, perhaps just standing, perhaps tuning into sound. So choosing to be however you need to be in this moment without feeling you need to shift into a pose or persevere if things become difficult. Coming back to just simply being. And then slowly again, just shifting your awareness back into the spine, lifting the head above the shoulders and the hips, and coming back, letting go of that bind and exploring what's here now for you. Each movement, each moment, an opportunity to tune in. To notice. And then if we notice that our mind shifts gear and moves off the practice into thoughts, perhaps there might be emotions arising. Just knowing again that our minds will shift, they will flow, they will move towards thought. That's what minds do. We're coming back when you're ready in your own time. And just practicing again. Waking up to that present moment when it feels right for you. And from here, we're going to slowly start to move again and placing our hands on the hips. I'm going to take a wider stance now. And as we take a wider stance in our body, just sort of getting a feel for where our feet need to be. So you can't see my feet at the moment, but I am taking a wider stance. Let me move back for you. Wider stance. So I'm sort of, in my body, I actually need to sort of shift my toes outwards in order to sort of bend the knees. So you might want to get a feel for that in your body. If you find that pointing your toes forward feels safe for you, then you can keep your toes pointing forward. Or perhaps you might want to shift your toes outwards. So just exploring the range of movement in your body, and then find a little bend in the knees and see if that feels safe and supportive for you. And if it doesn't, perhaps a wider stance or maybe a narrow stance is better for you today. Well, I'm going to stand here. So this is my body, my shape, and my toes pointing outwards feels safe and secure for me. So I'm going to take a little bend in the knees, and your choice again as to where you want to go, where you want to stop. And just noticing what it's like to feel that little bit of intensity perhaps, or maybe a bit of effort in the legs. And then slowly straightening the legs again. And then again dropping down and noticing what changes in the body as you move into this particular pose, this particular shape, and lifting. So just exploring these sensations and knowing that it's your choice as to where you wish to go with this. As long as it's safe, not risky, there's no sharp shooting pain. Just observing as you move into it, maybe intensity. Maybe there's this heat or sense of heat. But it feels okay. It feels okay to be with that. And if it doesn't feel okay, then just doing what is right for you right here, right now. And then slowly rising again. I'm just going to do a little bend in the knee and just sort of rocking gently side to side. Noticing how this feels in your body. And again, adjusting the stance, the width, and the movement according to your body's needs. So if it feels risky, or if there's any sharp shooting pain, then perhaps standing and coming to a standing position, or perhaps there's not enough sensation today and you might wish to move deeper into the bends. Just noticing what's here for you now. Moving with that connection and waking up here to the soles of the feet connecting to the earth, perhaps the sway of the movement. And then slowly bringing it back to the center and pausing, letting that movement subside. Again, just stopping with all the sensations that might be here, might be left, might be obvious from that movement. Maybe a change of the pace of your breath. Maybe there's some heat that's accumulated in the legs. Maybe there's a real sense of having grounded down into the soles of the feet. No matter what anchor and what is in your awareness now, just gently, with a beginner's mind, inquiring what's here for you now. And on the next in-breath, we're slowly going to walk the feet back towards one another, but keeping that sort of distance so that it's quite comfortable your stance, and that perhaps even you feel a little bit of bounciness in the knees, so that your knees feel supported, but as if they're finding a little bit of a bend, a little bit of fluidity through the knees. And then we're going to slowly lean over towards the left leg and see if we can rise up onto our right tippy toe. And then notice what it's like to draw the knee inwards. So seeing what it's like to lift the right leg off the ground. And if there's some instability here, perhaps just being curious with that instability, maybe even feeling that wobble. And noticing what that feels like to be wobbling. Perhaps even with some curiosity, notice if the mind or the thoughts start to rise. And knowing that there is no right or wrong, the body is doing what it needs to do in this pose to understand where it is in space. And just simply acknowledging as you rise the leg, if there is sensation of wobble or instability, noticing what that's like. And then slowly taking that right leg back down. And then shifting your awareness now to the soles of the feet, leaning over to the right leg, strengthening the right leg. So feeling like you're squeezing the muscles on a little bit here for that stability, maybe a little bend so that we notice that leg is awake. And then lifting onto the tiptoe of the left leg when you're ready. Perhaps this is enough staying here. Or maybe you might wish to lift the left leg and explore this sensation on this side. And noticing again if there's any sensation of instability, what it's like to be here balancing. Perhaps there are thoughts bubbling and arising. Maybe there's an echo of emotion in the body. All is welcome. It's no right or wrong. We're just simply noticing what's arising, maybe even choosing, if it feels right, to label the thoughts. Perhaps even labeling the emotions. And then slowly letting that leg move and shift back down to earth. Both feet planting down, and again inquiring here as we earth down into the ground, noticing how that feels, connecting with the anchors, perhaps coming back to the breath, perhaps noticing the subtleties of small movements in the body. And then letting the arms slowly come back down towards the sides again. And this time we're going to lean over towards our left leg and step forward as if we're going for a walk. Step the right leg forward, move, lean into the right leg, lean back to the left foot and step back to the side. I'm just going to do this movement in our own time. So we might be curious as to what it's like to go really slow and just observe what's happening in the body, noticing the mind as it fluctuates, noticing the mind as it connects with the body, and stepping back again. Remembering if it doesn't feel safe and supportive, it might be just a very small micro step forward. And a very small micro step back. So adjusting to your needs today. Because today is different than tomorrow. And then tomorrow is different to the next day. So always moving and shifting in a way that feels right for you in this present moment. And when you've done one more on this side, I'm going to shift to the opposite leg and noticing what's here for you now on the opposite side. Shift, lift as if walking forward, stepping forward, coming off the back heel if that feels right. And then moving back towards the right foot. Left leg lifts. And then shifting back towards your stance. Just doing that a few more times at our own pace. There's no hurry. You can go as slow as you like, or you might wish to speed up to see if there's any difference for you. Feeling sensations, exploring what's here for you now in the body. And on the last one, starting to slowly come back, walking back to your standing position. And finding again the center of gravity in your body, earthing down into the ground, becoming aware and awake now to the whole body. Just noticing the posture that you've chosen to be in here today as you settle back into stillness. Pausing to come back to the whole body and noticing what it feels like to connect down to the soles of the feet. What it feels like to have the support underneath. What it feels like to be standing. Perhaps again with that sort of gleaning over the landscape, just noticing what might be here in the body for you now. You might notice some tension, some holding, some squeezing. Or we might notice instead the temperature in the room or from wherever you are. Or perhaps you notice the head and the shoulders and the hips, the spine, the hands dangling down by your side. So if it feels right for you, beginning to just bring your awareness now gently onto the breath. And just taking a few breaths here with that awareness of the breath moving in and out. And then slowly bringing your awareness and attention to the shoulders, and then just taking a little bit of a shoulder roll. So noticing the upper body and rolling through the shoulders. And then moving forwards, beginning to become aware of the surroundings that you're in. If your eyes have been closed, you might choose to open the eyes now in your own time. And then just nod your head, yes, no. Take a moment to shake and move the body freely in whatever way feels inviting and pleasurable. shifting your body without any care, without any direction or guidance, and moving in a way that supports you, that feels fluid and free. And then coming back into the standing position and coming into a comfortable standing position, which might be with your hands down, or you might even choose to place your hands on the body. It might be a place for you to connect with if that feels right for you. If not, just letting your hands dangle by your side. And becoming aware now of the room that you're in. Presence of sounds that might be shifting and flowing. And finally, coming back to the body. And just taking a moment here, the whole body, the breath, the mind. And thanking yourself for taking this 30 minutes to practice with kindness and compassion. As we bring this practice to a close, thank you once again for joining me. I hope to see you next time.